Hey there and welcome to Aligning Layers. This is a super helpful section. We're going to show you how to align your layers to an entire document, as well as how to align layers to each other, as well as selections. And basically anytime you want to put something in the exact middle or the vertical center or the horizontal center of your image, instead of guessing, there's a really great alignment tools built into Photoshop that are going to make this job much easier and help you make more accurate graphics. Let's go ahead and open up our images here. We're in Chapter 2, Section 4, Align Layers, and we've got two layers here. We've got a JPEG and then a PNG. I'm going to hit spacebar here on this PNG. Now, this is from the Noun project. I really like this website. They offer Creative Commons, as well as you can actually purchase icons from the Noun project. Many great icons. So this is actually Creative Commons. So you can see here's it's created by this person. So if you guys want to get any icons, I highly suggest the Noun project. So let's go ahead and open those up. Let's click on Open, and now this says it doesn't have a file format, so I'm going to assign this this color space, sRGB. There we go, and hit OK as well. So this is a PNG, meaning it has a transparent background. So what I'm going to do is use my marquee tool here. I'm going to make a selection right around this part. Okay. Now the Noun project asks if you do use Creative Commons, just to make sure you credit whomever created the project, and that's why this is built in right here. So we've done that, told you about it. Now we're just going to take the actual icon itself and put it right here on this image. So let's go ahead and hit F for full screen. So we have a little icon. Now it's black in this case. I actually want to invert the colors. So black, the opposite of black is white. So I'm going to invert by hitting Control or Command I, and it's going to turn black into white. So let's hit Control or Command I. It's going to invert, and now we have white. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and hit the Type tool. So T for the Type tool, and we're going to go ahead and click on our image. And I'm going to type in flower essences. There we go. Okay. Now obviously we got some work to do here. So let's go make sure that first our type is looking how we want it to. So let's go to Window and down to Character. There we go. And we're going to choose a different font here. This is not the font that I want to choose for this. You know what? Let's just choose Helvetica. I'm going to choose Helvetica New Thin. There we go. I'm a big fan of Helvetica New. And let's go ahead and just make our size a little bit smaller. All right. Perfect. So, you know what? I think I want to go ultralight with this. I think that works a little bit better. Now I'm going to adjust the spacing in between my letters. Let's go ahead and bring those up, spacing up to, you know what, let's go all the way up to 200. Okay. Now this is left aligned currently, so if I want to center align the type itself, I'm going to go to my paragraph and we're going to click on, there we go, center align. Now you're going to see it just moves it over there, but that's okay. We can use our move tool and move it back. Okay. And that looks pretty good. Now let's make one more layer here. So I'm going to hit T for my Type tool and brought to you by Phlearn. Why not? Phlearn makes flower essences now. Let's go ahead and make that quite a bit smaller as well. And we'll change our font weight to light. There we go. Okay, so in this very simple example, I want all this to be lined up vertically. You know, I want this all to look good, and I don't want to have to guess by it. So what we're going to do to start off with is we're just going to select my entire document. So let's go ahead and hit Control or Command A, and that's going to select our entire document. Now with our entire document selected, let's start off with our flower. So you can see my selection, this little marching, little dotted lines are here on the edge. Anytime you see that, it means you have a selection. So now let's go ahead and start off with our alignment tools. So the alignment tools are built in to the move tool in Photoshop. So as long as you have your move tool selected, your alignment tools are going to be in the options at the top. So let's go ahead and click on our move tool. You can hit V for your move tool. And here are our alignment tools right here at the top. So we have a few that are active right now, and then a few that are grayed out. We'll show you how to work those in just a second. So I've selected everything. So if you want to align within a selection, all you have to do is make a selection, and then you can align on the top, on the center, on the bottom, on the left, on the vertical center, and on the right. So that's our selection. Now I'm going to deselect, and let's choose another selection. So I'm going to grab my marquee tool and just make a selection right over here. Okay, same layer here. Let's go back to our move tool and align on the top of that selection, the middle, and the bottom, on the left, and the middle, and the right. Now, for instance, if you want vertical and horizontal centers, just click on your vertical center and horizontal center, and you're good to go. So you can see you can align it within a selection, which is super helpful. Now let's go ahead and deselect that, and I'm going to make a couple copies of this layer. So I'm going to hit Control-Command-J. Let's move that over to there, and Control-Command-J and move that over there. And we're just going to select this one. There we go. And make this smaller. There we go. Well, let's just leave it the same size for now. So let's say I want each of these three to be spaced out perfectly with one another. So what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and start by spacing them out. We'll just put them kind of like anywhere right now. We'll make them all work in just a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and select all three of these because we just showed you how to align one layer to a selection. Now we're going to show you how to align multiple layers to themselves. We need to start off by selecting our multiple layers. So let's hold Control or Command and click on our different layers. You can see they're all selected now. And now we have options to align them all vertical centers of the actual layers themselves. Okay, we could do this as well and they'll all be in the exact same place. I'm going to just hit undo. And we also have options for distribution. So we can distribute them along the top edges, middle edges, and their bottom edges. Okay, let's just go ahead and, there we go, reselect them to show you guys. This will align them, you can see top, middle, and bottom. Okay, align the vertical tops, vertical bottoms, and you can align them centered as well. So what this does, let's just put that right over there. Okay, what this does is it basically will say, okay, this object is here on the left, this object is here on the right. I can align this the vertical center here, and it's going to put it halfway between on the left and right. Okay, I can do this halfway in between in the center, and then I could align them like this. So what we have now is we've aligned all these different objects to each other. So now the space here and the space here is the exact same. Okay, so we just used three different objects. Now we're going to do another example, just making these a little bit smaller, and we'll create a few more copies. So let's go ahead and make this invisible for now. Okay, we'll just start off with this layer. So let's hit Control or Command T. I'm going to just shrink that down. There we go. And hit Control or Command J to just duplicate that. Let's hit it again. Control or Command J duplicates. And we'll do that again, and then one more time. Perfect. So now you can see, let's just right click, and I'm going to go to change my thumbnails to medium, so they just take up a little bit less space. Now if I hold Shift and click on all of these, I can align them all with the vertical centers, and you're going to see it's going to take the spacing between all those elements and space them perfectly, and then I'm going to align them on their horizontal centers as well. Now let's say I want to treat all of these as one object. Well, I can group that object with itself. So now if I wanted to, let's say I put that over there, if I wanted to hit align all these perfectly in the center with my entire document, well, what I can do is select my entire document, Control or Command A to select my entire document, and then I get to treat all these layers inside of here as one because they're all in a group. So I can align vertically and horizontally, and now all those layers are perfectly aligned. So just think about how difficult that would have been had we not had our alignment tools, right? To make these tiny little things, make a bunch of them, have them perfectly spaced evenly, and have them all be on the same line, and then have that be perfectly spaced in the vertical and horizontal center of our entire document. Seems like, you know, like we just clicked a couple buttons, but if you didn't have your alignment tools, that would have been much more difficult and much less accurate. Okay guys, so now we've seen you can align layers to selections, you can align layers with each other, and you can use groups to group multiple items together and then use that for alignment as well. So let's go ahead back to our document. We're going to make this invisible temporarily, and let's go ahead and just scale this down just a little bit. I'm going to hold down Shift so it restricts the width and the height. Okay, let's just put that over there, and let's make that visible and put it over there. We're just kind of exaggerating, right? But you're going to see how easy it is to bring all these together. So I want all three of these to be in the same vertical column. I want them to be centered, right? So I'm going to hold Control or Command and click on all three of these layers, click on my Move tool, and then vertically align their centers. That's perfect. Now, this brought to you by Phlearn. Let's go ahead and click there. I want to just move that straight up. So if you ever want to move something just vertically or horizontally, hold Shift and click and drag with your Move tool. So you can see if I just have my Move tool selected and I just move it around, it's just going to move it wherever, right? But if I hold Shift and go, just go straight up, it's going to move it straight up. Or you can go to the right and it'll move it straight to the right as well. You can move it at 45s too, okay? But in this case, I just want to move it straight up, so I'm going to hold Shift and click and drag up. Or if you don't remember that, you can just like put it about where you want, you know, something like that, and put that about where you want, something like that. And then you can just select your layers again and realign them. Very easy to do. Now, all three of these, I'm going to treat that as one logo. So I'm going to group those together. Okay, there we go. And then hit Control or Command A, center align them. Okay, let's deselect, and then I'm going to hold down Shift and just simply move that straight down. So we can see all these are perfectly aligned with my image now. Now, I can do a couple things. Let me go ahead and make a duplicate of this. Okay, and in this case, I just want a little bit different. I want to try a version where the logo is on the left, and I've got my type just to the right of it. So I'm going to put my logo. Let's go ahead and grab our logo and put that on the left here. Now, Flower Essences, and brought to you by Phlearn. See, Flower Essences, you can see is center justified with my paragraph, right? Because you can see, like, it's not left aligned, right? The F would be on the left-hand side with Flower Essences, right? So let's go ahead and go back to our paragraph view. I'm going to left align that. So you can see it's left aligned. Let's go brought to you by Phlearn. Let's left align that as well. Okay. Now our Flower Essences, I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. So Control or Command T. There we go. This one will make a little bit smaller as well. Okay. And now these two, my Flower Essences and then brought to you by Phlearn, these two I want to align to the left for each other, right? So I simply select both of those layers and pop that to each other. There we go. And that looks pretty good. I just want to scale this down just a little bit. Alright, so we have that right about there. That looks pretty good. Now let's say these two layers, right? There's this Flower Essences layer. You know what? And I want to, while we're here, I'm like, you know what? I need to, because I made it smaller, I'm just going to bump up the weight of it a little bit. Okay? There we go. And let's bump up the weight of that too. Let's make that regular. Okay. So now that I've made that smaller, and we're kind of changing this, I want both of this Flower Essences and the brought to you by Phlearn, I want that to be aligned center with my little flower icon. So I'm going to treat those, I need both of these to be treated like one. So what I'm going to do is shift click those, and I'm going to group those together. So Control or Command G, and now they're in the same group. Okay, so when they're grouped, you basically are treating it like one object. So now I can click on my group and click on this layer, so you can see they're both selected now. So my group, okay, is selected, as well as my icon is selected, and now I can align these vertically right here, and you're going to see, let me just exaggerate that a little bit further, because it did move, but it was subtle. There we go. Let's align these, there we go, upon the horizontal center. That looks great. And now they're in this group. They're both in this group, right? So again, now I want these to be aligned vertically with my entire document. I want to put that right there, but just make sure it's perfect, right? So they're all in this group. So now I want it to be aligned to this document. Control or Command A to select all and pop that there. And now this entire group is perfectly vertically aligned within that same document. So you can see this it's going to look a lot more professional when everything is actually like perfectly aligned with one another, rather than just trying to like put it in about the right place. So you can see we have a few different options here. So let's go ahead and name this. All right, I'm going to just call this left right. Okay, let's go ahead and right click and give that a color, red. There we go. Okay, I'm going to call this top bottom. Because notice I just duplicated this entire group, right? And make that orange. Okay, and then here we have multiples. There we go. And let's go ahead and right click and make that yellow. And then you know what I'm going to do? We have this top bottom group. I'm going to say these flower essences and brought to you by Phlearn. Let's go ahead and duplicate these layers. So I'm going to hit Control or Command J to duplicate them. You can see we have more layers now. And then remember our keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to hold Control and then open bracket because I want to move that down into my multiples group. So Control, open bracket a couple times. Let's open up our group here and put it into our group. So now it's in that multiples group. I'm going to right click and make this yellow. There we go. Let's just close these down. Okay, and now here we can see flower essences brought to you by Phlearn. And in this case, we'll say, you know what, I just want to bring those straight up right to about there. That looks good. And then all these layers, I want to group those together themselves. Control or Command T, hold Shift, and then I'm going to hold Alt or Option as well. And then we're just going to scale those down as well. Maybe bring those right to about there. Alright, and this flower essences, or this multiples group, let's hit Control or Command A to select everything and align this vertically and horizontally as well. There we go. So you can see we have a few different options, and if we decide, you know what, I really don't want those multiples, that's not a big deal. You can just make some of these invisible again. There we go. And you could even bring that up top by holding Shift and bringing that right up there as well. Alright. So here we can see we're staying really well organized, and we have a few different versions of our image. So we have this top to bottom, we have our left and right, and we have our multiples. And everything is going to be perfectly aligned on our image. Well, that's it for aligning layers. So don't forget you can create selections and align layers and groups to those selections. You can align layers to other layers, and if you want to treat multiple layers as one object, go ahead and group those, and you can treat that as a group when you're aligning as well. So a ton of different options. This should help all of your graphics, all of your presentations, basically anything you're doing digital layout wise to be super clean in Photoshop. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next section where we show you how to transform and scale different objects and layers. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.